I usually stay out of these conversations, but with Caitlin Clark, I can't stay silent anymore.
The entire arena holds its breath when the greatest of all time speaks. Furthermore, Michael Jordan wasn't merely considering his own legacy this time. He brought attention to Caitlin Clark, the up-and-coming force that is revolutionizing women's basketball with each basket she makes. MJ gave a stirring tribute that had an impact well beyond the stage in a moment that stunned the court and moved Clark to tears. However, what did he say specifically that caused the audience to stand up? Hold on tight. You don't want to miss this opportunity. Michael Jordan and Caitlin Clark's ascent. It's not common for Michael Jordan to enter the public eye, particularly when it comes to athletes who are not in the NBA. It's deliberate, and people pay attention when a WNBA rookie receives that infrequent limelight. Jordan has traditionally avoided making many remarks about the women's game, preferring to watch from afar and establishing his reputation in the men's league through ownership, branding, and international clout. However, his remarks are more than just compliments, particularly when they are directed toward a budding celebrity like Caitlin Clark. There has been a profound change in the way that excellence is seen. Clark does more than just compile statistics. She is radically changing the WNBA's image. Her appearance has resulted in extraordinary television ratings and attendance records. She has transformed formerly uneventful games into sold-out affairs with the Indiana Fever, drawing over 1 million spectators each time. Her ascent is significant in ways beyond numbers, though. The rippling effects are the cause. Girls are picking up basketballs not simply to play, but also to be seen and heard in locations where her games are frequently televised. Youth basketball programs are flourishing, and camps are packed. Jordan's previous actions on the men's side are reminiscent of that kind of influence. He accomplished more than merely winning games in the 1990s. He reinterpreted what a basketball player could stand for on a worldwide scale. Additionally, there is now a new dimension to that heritage as his Jordan brand discreetly forms alliances with WNBA players. His empire's business division is changing to reflect the cultural significance and commercial potential of top female athletes. The question of whether the women's game is commercially significant has been abandoned. It concerns the rate at which that value is increasing. Clark is the focal point of that upsurge. Jordan's public recognition of someone like Clark is therefore not coincidental. His seldom yet impactful remarks go beyond simple affirmations. These are statements that compel brands and fans to take notice. Few people can match the weight of his legacy. Additionally, it gets more difficult for the sports community to ignore him when he highlights someone. It is a type of cultural transfer that is not exactly mentorship, but goes beyond endorsement. That crossing energy has only been heightened by social media. Nowadays, acknowledgement isn't limited to ESPN interviews or award shows. Stars can communicate in real time, openly support one another, and create tales that transcend gender and league barriers because to platforms like Instagram and TikTok. Jordan's acknowledgement of Clark fell into that context, not as a subdued gesture, but as a pivotal event that swept across digital space like wildfire. The popularity of corporate branding has grown rapidly. There is more to joint advertisements showcasing male and female athletes than just publicity. They focus on synergy, a tactic that enables viewers to envision limitless basketball brilliance. Both established celebrities and up-and-coming talents are being drawn into shared limelight moments as more businesses engage in this concept. These intersections between the past and the future allow for a force like Clark to be validated by someone like Jordan without saying much. And why did Larry Bird and Shaq interrupt Jordan's remarks with their own surprising appreciation just when they looked to be unrivaled? Keep an eye out. Larry Bird, who has never been renowned for making huge headlines or big public gestures, said something that seemed heavier than it actually was when the greats couldn't take their eyes off Caitlin Clark. In his typically reserved manner, he acknowledged that he found himself following Iowa as much as he did his alma mater, Indiana State, which served as the starting point for his illustrious career in the late 1990s. It was not ostentatious. It wasn't over the top, but it said it all for a talent like Bird. Words are not wasted by Bird. People pay attention when he places Caitlin Clark on the same mental level as the games that influenced his career. The type of basketball that Bird enjoys is more interesting. He avoids chasing after hype. He appreciates the decision-making, the vision, and the grind. And those very characteristics are reflected in Clark's style. Her long-range accuracy, fast reflexes, and pace control evoke the qualities that formerly characterized Bird. His remark went beyond simple flattery. It demonstrated a respect for the proper way to play the game that was steeped in adoration. For those who are aware of how uncommon it is for women's basketball to become popular enough to catch the attention of old-school legends, Bird's subtle wink said it all. However, it didn't take long for the flamboyant, vocal, and fiercely devoted Shaquille O'Neal to contribute his own unique voice to the expanding list of greats. Now that we're looking closely at Caitlin Clark, Shaq's path to admiring Clark wasn't a straight line. His loyalty had obviously gravitated toward Angel Ree in the early years of her WNBA career, as he had always backed the star in public. However, something changed as Clark maintained his dominance by poise, self-assurance, and game-eating prowess. It went beyond the excitement and the headlines. He witnessed it firsthand, and there was no denying the change in tone when he eventually addressed it. "I'm not Shaq anymore." For a brief moment of straightforward honesty, he stripped down his extravagant facade and declared, "I'm a fan." He described her as good. He gave an explanation. He discussed how she creates opportunities, plays with others, and makes everyone around her better. He observed that her choices were sound rather than merely showy. Legends have played with Shaq. He is aware of the distinction between persistent excellence and fleeting exhilaration. And he saw the latter in Clark. His commendation was all the more remarkable because it came so naturally in spite of his previous position. No hesitancy existed. Although he admitted that watching a game on TV can skew a player's performance, he claimed that Clark's performance was even more impressive live. Her leadership, her movement, and the shots she chose all translated. Sound bites didn't interest Shaq. Her maturity, knowledge, and control on the floor truly astonished him. He also made it apparent that her actions are out of the ordinary. Being acknowledged by someone like Bird and Shaq is more than just confirmation. There has been a change in the way people who have defined the game view it. Their admiration isn't based on feelings. It is based on basketball reasoning derived from years of analyzing what makes the best players stand out. Furthermore, why was Caitlin Clark left off of Team USA's Olympic roster when the thunder of legends continued to reverberate around her? Does the narrative have more to it? Let's investigate. Caitlin Clark's quiet revolt, when criticism feeds a resurgence. Being left out causes a certain amount of silence. The kind that reverberates in your chest when your name is left off the list, rather than the kind that reverberates across an empty arena. Although Caitlin Clark had previously experienced pressure, being left off of the U.S. Olympic roster carried a distinct burden. There was more than one competition involved. The symbolic message shook both detractors and admirers. It seemed unfathomable to many. A player who had increased TV ratings, crowded arenas, and rekindled interest in women's basketball is now marginalized on the international scene. It wasn't comfortable. However, not everyone thought it was a catastrophe. Dwight Howard, a man whose NBA career was full of both highs and lows, viewed it as a test that could be advantageous. Without sugarcoating his sympathies, he stated frankly that this should motivate her to work harder in the gym. It was a challenge rather than a jab. Howard wasn't downplaying how hurt she was. He was indicating the area beyond it. He had previously seen it. When an athlete is passed over, they frequently find a way to make the world regret it. He had high expectations for Caitlin, and perhaps, just possibly, that exclusion offered Caitlin space, which she hadn't had in a long time. She found time to refocus away from the chaos of an Olympic schedule and the scrutiny of every possession exaggerated on the global stage. She was able to hone her skills in peace when she was away from Paris. She remained in the gym while the cameras moved elsewhere. She had a purpose for her fire. She did it for herself. Even if the fans weren't present for every extra drill or late-night filming session, it was always taking place in the background. Jeff Teague, a former NBA guard, wasn't keeping silent anywhere. He believed that the WNBA had missed a fantastic chance. He remarked, "They played this all wrong," and shook his head. Teague had never been into making headlines, but his annoyance was evident when he talked. In addition to underutilizing Caitlyn, the league had turned off a number of the fans she brought with her. Suddenly, the games were selling out. There was a surge in merchandise. Numbers on social media increased. Nevertheless, she had not received a warm reception. Teague wasn't the only one who thought this. Rick Barry, a Hall of Famer, gave him a sharper edge. Caitlyn had to deal with roughness that was not just harsh, but also intimate. Regarding the frequent targeting, he declared, "It's reprehensible. This was not how rookies are often treated." And that said it all, coming from Barry, who played when hard fouls were commonplace. The interaction wasn't the only thing that bothered him. It was the top-level message. What kind of tone does it set if stars aren't protected? Every game she played during those first few months had additional significance. Every foul seemed like an obstacle. Every star own is a caution. However, there should be no agitated interviews or theatricals, just concentration. She took it all in discreetly and expertly.